meeting was supposed to be in my supervisor's office, and that didn't happen. They took me to the conference room, and it was at that moment I had like a wave of anxiety over me, and I realized that they were letting me go. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree. So if you're watching this, you read the title, so you know that this video isn't a fun video today. I was laid off due to coronavirus. So 2020 strikes again in 2021. So I initially recorded this when it first happened, and I wasn't in the right headspace. I was still very much angry, really angry. I think that's normal. So I'm gonna give you a little background story before I actually tell you what exactly happened that day. So I have been working at this company for 5.5 years, and funny story, about 2.5 years ago, I believe, I put in my 3 weeks notice at this company because I felt like the position that I was in at that time wasn't something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. It didn't feel like a career to me, and I felt like there was more that I could be doing, that I wasn't being utilized. If that makes sense. I was kind of in a quarter life crisis, and I felt like that wasn't my purpose. So I put in my 3 weeks notice, and my supervisor at the time, she didn't want me to go. Actually, a lot of people in that particular department didn't want me to go, but I felt moved to do something else with my life. The last day, I was on a call with a customer, and my supervisor at the time told me to hang up. And around this time, it was probably about 2 hours from the end of my shift. So I'm like, okay, on the call, helping a customer, give me a sec. And she's like, no, hang up now. So I'm like, oh my God, something happened. So I hang up, and I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, I have a better offer for you. We want you to stay within this company. And she's like, you don't have a lot of time to think about it. It pays more. It'll be great for you. Basically, it was like, I know that you aren't happy here anymore. You don't feel like you are doing what you're meant to do, pretty much. And I was like, okay. So pretty much just got hired on the spot, and that was that. So obviously I stayed with the company. I took the promotion, I took the pay bump, and all of the additional stress. And over that time, more and more has been added to my plate, and I just did it because that's the type of person I am. I'm just like a hard worker, and that's just in my nature. So when more work was added on, of course I did it. Sleep with different countries, so there's a time difference. So a lot of times I would stay up really late to get an answer the same day, to get issues resolved. So that's the background with that. So moving forward to present day, last year when coronavirus first started, I was really worried. I was really anxious and unsure. So I made the decision to downsize where we currently lived. We moved to a small little country town, and my husband didn't question it. He just believed in me and thought that we were making the right decision, which I love him for. Since then, I've questioned if we should have stayed, and now I know, when everything is coming full circle, that that was the right decision for our family. I made the decision to pay up on our bills because I was so worried of losing my job back in March. And so we paid up our bills, stayed on top of everything, and thankfully I was able to work. My husband was able to work the whole pandemic. So now, about a year later, my boss sent a meeting request about a week in advance, which isn't normal because I've been working from home. So normally she'll text me and say, hey, like there's an issue, can you do it? Set up a meeting. She normally tells me to set up a meeting, or she sets up a meeting. It's never that far in advance. And she included our supervisor over our department as well, which is never good. So I had like a bad feeling. And she never let on that anything was amiss, and there wasn't like a mass laying off. So I knew it was bad, but I didn't know to what extent. So the night before the meeting, she texted me and was like, make sure you don't forget the meeting. You for sure have to come in tomorrow. So I'm like, oh. So I text my husband and I'm like, hey, I think tomorrow is probably going to be bad. Either they're going to demote me or make me part-time, something. So he's like, whatever it is, we'll get through it. So I'm like, you're right. So the day comes and I get to work, and a member from my team is parked beside me, and she kind of just like looks at me and she looks a little off. But at the time I didn't really think of it. I used my fob to get in, and at first it didn't work. So like the running joke at our company is like, if you have an issue, then you get an axe. It's time for you to go. So I was like, that's really weird. But eventually it worked. So I was like, okay, fine. Maybe it's because I haven't used it in over a year. That wasn't the case. And I see my boss, and she's like, hey, how you doing? I was like, okay, great. I see my supervisor. He's, hey, how you doing? How you been? Blah, blah, blah. Like, great. So I'm sitting down, I'm working, and then it's time for the meeting. So the meeting was supposed to be in my supervisor's office, and that didn't happen. They took me to the conference room, and it was at that moment I had like a wave of anxiety over me, and I realized that they were letting me go. So I sit down and I close my computer because obviously I won't need it. And they walk in and they hand me a paper, and they're like, thank you for your time at the company, but because of coronavirus, we've had to make a lot of cutbacks, and unfortunately your jobs, because I was pretty much doing like 2 full-time jobs, it's pretty much redundant. And I swear that was like the longest, it felt like the longest time, but it could have been more than like 10 seconds of a pause before he asked if I have any questions. Of course I have questions, but realistically, it's not going to change anything. So everything from there is a blur. Everybody pretty much was quiet or looking down, and I think that's what made me angry, is that years ago, I could have left, but I decided to help you guys because you said that that's what you needed. And it was like nobody could look me in my face to break the news. Everybody was looking down, looking at the paper, looking at their phone. It was just a mess. It was at that moment that I knew that I would be okay. That this is everything that I've been praying for. I've been praying for clarity. I've been praying to God to know my purpose. And obviously that wasn't it. Whew, it's a little bit harder than I thought it would be. Yeah, so I no longer work for that company, and I probably will never go back to the company if I had the opportunity to. So now, because last year I was so anxious and I planned ahead, I somewhat was ready for this, so we're not in a bad position. Of course, my husband still has his job, so I'm super thankful for that, because I know there's so many people in this position can't say the same thing. So we still have another income to fall back on, and we are paid up on a lot of our bills. So at the moment, I am a stay-at-home mom, and I am going to be doing YouTube full-time. It's funny because one of my New Year's resolutions was to do YouTube full-time, and probably not even a week later, I got laid off from my job. So now I have the means to do so. So I don't know if this is my purpose. I don't know if that was just God freeing up time so I can get to my purpose. I don't know. So we'll see. I thought that I should share this with you guys because the direction of my channel is obviously going to be a little bit different now. So we're going to be getting more uploads, which is great. Yeah. So I don't want to end this video in like a negative light, because I have always been so grateful for any job that I have ever had. So whether it's working at Hibbett or working at Spinks, a gas station, I know that having a job is such a blessing and is such a privilege, because there's so many people who really want a job and they can't get it. So anytime that I have a job, I'm so grateful for it. So, and even though I felt like this could have been handled better, I am still grateful for the 5.5 years that I had that job. I was able to help provide for my family. I was able to help keep a roof over our head. And I'm ready to see what God has in store for me moving forward. It's funny when you pray for things and you get it and it's not quite what you expected it to be. But it's this saying that God's rejection is your protection. So I'm going to hold on to that. And yeah, so we'll see what's in store for me. So if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below, because I am working on a Q&A that I'll be doing soon. And I will see you guys next time, and I promise that it'll be our normal fun videos, nothing too heavy. So stay safe, keep washing your hands, and I will see you in the next one.